Hi, I'm the Moonlit Page Turner. Grab your treat, grab your tea, and let's talk books. For this month's reads, we are traveling to Bahrain, which is also known as the Kingdom of Bahrain. Bahrain is located in the Persian Gulf. It's one main island, and there's a bunch of little islands around it. It's also known for its pearl fisheries, which is where we will go in one of our reads. Bahrain gained its independence in 1971. Before that, they were part of a protectorate from England. And even way before that, in the third century BCE, had a really early civilization. So Bahrain's been around for a while. Before we get into this month's read, let's get into our treat. This is halwa. It is a Persian confectionery, which means it's a sweet treat. And this is something that has spread throughout the Middle East. So each Middle Eastern country has kind of their own version of it. It could be a pudding. This one has ended up being more like a jello, but there is no gelatin in it. So some of the things that are in common, obviously sugar, it's a sweet treat, but it also has saffron and rose water as well. This one has cardamom and nutmeg, and then I put pistachios and dried cranberries in it. So you'll see the consistency is like jello, but again, no gelatin. It's good. It's sweet, but not too sweet because it has those other spices in it. The first book that we're going to talk about is The Pearl Thief, and this is by Noor al Noami. And this book is fairly short. It's about 30 pages. Actually, both of our books this month are short. I think Fortier is only about 42 pages. So you can read both of these in a day. The Pearl Thief, though, is set in Bahrain and it has to do with the pearl divers there. And our main character, his name is Hassan. He gets fired from the job that he has, which was not a very good job to begin with. He is part of the lower class, and so he works really hard to make money for his parents. He is the only breadwinner of the family. So when they hear that he gets fired, his dad kind of goes a little bit ballistic. He, though, is been looking for work and he heard about the pearl divers, although Hassan cannot swim. So for him to become a pearl diver, it could be extremely dangerous as a lot of those people died. And so he goes to become a pearl diver. And before he goes, his mother gives him a tamima, I think is how you say it. It is a little pouch that has the verses from the Quran in it, and so he has that with him. As he's diving for pearls, he becomes fairly successful. He finds a really expensive pearl, and so his bosses really like him. But he decides that all of these people aren't making money off of him, and why isn't he making money? So he decides to sneak away some of those pearls into that pouch that his mother gave him. So when he comes home, not only does he have money from his family from the pearl diving, that's not going to last them very long though, but he also has about 30 pearls. And he decides that he's going to sell a couple of them. He sells one and then feels really guilty about it and thinks about it. And he's like, oh, I really wish I had that pearl back. So then he goes to buy a pearl back. Come to find out, the pearls that he's buying are half the cost of what it cost him to sell one. So he kind of gets it in his mind, oh, I can make a lot of money off of that. And he actually becomes really wealthy. So much so that his former boss comes back to him and is like, please marry my daughter, this beautiful woman that he would fire people if they just looked at her. So this book was interesting. I liked the historical fact about the pearl divers. I did not like the lesson that was learned in here, and I wasn't sure if that's kind of what you were supposed to get. Whereas, go make your own fortune is great advice. But doing so by stealing from others, I was not so appreciative about, especially as we just read a bunch of folklores from other countries. And so seeing morality in books is really important. So I liked the pearl diving aspect of it. I thought that was a good historical approach to it, but I wasn't so sold on the story. Fortier, Blood and Moon by M.G. Darwish is our first fantasy novel of the series. This is actually about vampires. So Fortier, whose real name is Alfred, he comes from the family the Zedans, and they have a rival family, which is the Bertrams. And a long time ago, the Bertrams ended up tricking the Zedans to come to a meeting where the Bertrams paired with the humans, and a lot of people died. So the Zedans have been kind of waiting to get their revenge, and that's kind of what happens in this book. The Bertrams, though, they know that it's coming, and so they try to pull Fortier in to have him marry one of the Bertram daughters. Fortier is not having this. His name's Fortier. It's kind of more of a nickname because he has killed quite a few vampires in his day, and as you kill vampires, then you absorb their powers, and so he's very strong. He's like, "No, I don't wanna marry your daughter Petra. No, I'm not gonna talk to my dad. That's up to you. This is your problem." And so he leaves. Petra, though, follows him, like, following his scent or whatever, and she ends up getting into trouble, and he has to save her. This ends up bringing her to his house, where he thinks he's saving her, but it really is just a trap because the Bertrams then have an excuse to invade Zedon's house, and then there's a big battle. I was not super impressed with this. I thought it was a great first idea. It did need a little finesse in some of the writing and the descriptions. I probably will not be finishing the series. Again, it is fairly short, so you can read these both in a day. I did prefer the Pearl Thief over Fortier. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Next month, we are traveling to Bangladesh. If you're interested in what's coming up next, please visit us on Goodreads or Instagram. See you then.